All right, good evening, and everyone. It is, at least according to my time, 6:33. I am calling our meeting to order at this time. I wanted to let everyone know I actually will not stay on this meeting for long. Many of you might have already seen Facebook posts, but and possibly Twitter, but one of my really dear friends passed away last night, and I've been having a very difficult time today. So I won't be able to remain on, but I wanted to say hello to our community. Also wanted to share some additional information. I know we've received, I know that the Zoom meeting was shared with much of our community. What we have been doing over this COVID kind of season is most of the times members either participated via the YouTube live stream during the budget hearing. We had participants we had a hearing in June, we had participants or public inside the meeting and also during the facilities meeting. And I believe I try to do it during special meetings and then also during our retreat. I did it as well. This is our first work session meeting. We will not be letting the public enter these meetings moving forward. I will maintain for special meetings, appropriate and others, but they will not be in our work session. We have devised opportunities for people to share their questions. And Ivy sends that out when she sends the link up for our meetings. So she shares our public statements and she shares how we will receive questions, usually the Monday by 5 p.m. Prior to our meetings. Terry.
So first of all, I'm sorry for the loss of your friend. I think what you just said is, I sound like Seinfeld, capricious and certainly inconsistent. First of all, I don't think it's your decision alone to decide how we do this, and then to do it for this type of meeting and not that type of meeting is thoroughly inconsistent. So I guess my question for you is, since you didn't inform the rest of us that you were going to do it this way, did you inquire from the attorney?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And you didn't share with us that information. So
I'm so sorry, Terry, that I didn't share that. I apologize for not sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you for apologizing. But the other thing is this. Obviously, we've gotten a lot of letters today, not today, but over the last few days. And quite frankly, it makes us look as if we have something to hide if we change the way in which we now conduct the meeting to minimize the input that the public would have. So I don't understand why we're changing. In fact, I remember asking our attorney at a
Terry,
recent
I'm
meeting,
sorry. Can you just try to tighten this up so that, because like it's been a while.
We'll try to tighten it up if you stop interrupting me. Okay, and I know you're going to be leaving soon, so I want you to make sure you tell Tracy to keep things tight as we go on with the meeting.
Because, it's going to be very tight, Mr. Williams.
There seems to be a double standard. Okay, so anyway, like I said, you didn't share that information with us, with the attorney. And number two, it looks as though we have something to hide by not allowing people to speak after they have sent numerous letters to us, numerous notes to us saying that they want to speak about an issue. I think that's not a good look. It's lacking in transparency. And again, it seems inconsistent it seems like it's very capricious. You don't feel like doing it, so we're not doing it this time.
Thank you, Terry. I get it, and I think there could be some confusion out there. A lot of the communications that we received, and appreciate all of the communications that we received. If I am not responding today, like I said, was a difficult day. Ivy actually responded as well, confirming the receipt of the email and thanking them for the support of our district. I think part of the confusion also that adds into the confusion when you do have a board member that is directly engaging with the community and sending information, emails, and other information to them that they know is not the practice of the board. So I think that we can all do things a bit better to help them, to help our community clearly understand, how we operate. I can understand a level of inconsistency, and I've seen that through the years, through all of my years as a board member. This is my 6th year, and I will do my part to be more consistent. But at this time, this is how we're going to move forward. Terry, I'm not recognizing your hand, Tracy.
So I do think consistency is important, and we do have a governance committee where this issue came up of public comments and public input. And unfortunately, many of those committee meetings were canceled by the chair of the committee, as well as a recommendation had not been officially put together. COVID happened. We did stop having meetings. So I agree that we need to have a set plan, and maybe the governance committee can take that on and actually finish that recommendation this year. I think that would be great.
David.
For this reason and for many other purposes as well, are we going to start having committee meetings again? Because we had only been allowing committee meetings one at a time.
Yeah, we should. Was there like a
cost?
A cost? Yes, there was a cost to that.
For minutes, correct?
Yes.
So is there a way to manage this so that we can have so many hours per committee or something that will allow us to go forward?
That I'm not sure. I don't know if Carol might have any information on that. I'm not sure how, or maybe Ivy, I'm not sure how we can balance, because we obviously just at the last meeting at our retreat, we finalized what our committee were. So now it's about how do we begin to do the work on our committee. So I'm not 100% sure in regards to balancing that. Carol?
I'd have to look into that for you.
Okay, thank you. So Carol will come back to us so we can figure out how to balance that out. Terry, are you saying something new, or are you reiterating what you've already said?
I'm saying something new.
Thank you.
So per Ms. Mayor's comment, we made recommendations to, the governance committee made recommendations regarding public participation.
To the board?
This was, excuse me, this was not considered, this specific kind of communication was not considered because it was those meetings were pre-COVID. So we have made recommendations to the board about how to handle commentary. Ms. Mayer has been the blockade on a lot of things because she has often complained about lack of community input and all kinds of things that she throws into the mix. But during my chairmanship of that committee, it was the most active committee, make recommendations. And I will just say this, the other thing I'll add is, per your comment, Antoinette, about somebody engaging, a board member engaging with the community. Yes, I have been engaging with the community, but my engagement has been wholly proper and has not violated any rules. And if they have violated any rules, I encourage you to take whatever steps, because there are steps for board members who violate rules. So if you feel that I have violated any rules, please, by all means, take those steps.
No, Terry, and I agree with that. I do understand you haven't violated any rules at all. It's just inappropriate behavior for a board member to behave in. I also wanted to share with the board, with the community, that we will be having a special meeting on Thursday, with both of the experts that have assessed our facilities. So we will have EnviroScience, and we will also have BBS, the architects. That meeting will be at 5:30 on Thursday evening. We have the majority of the board that has responded that they are available. Terry, is your hand up on this item here?
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir.
So I would like to know why the meeting on Friday with EnviroScience was canceled. No one ever, maybe the other board members received an email about why it was canceled, but excuse me, my phone is ringing. It is something that should have been shared with the entire board. Speaking of inappropriate, since you used that term, I think it was inappropriate to cancel that meeting, especially when there was such important information in the EnviroScience report. So I'm curious as to why it was canceled, who decided to cancel it, and what the reason was for canceling it.
Maybe you should just look in your emails. It was shared with the board that we were canceling the meetings. I actually sent an email out directly to administrators in regards to also in regard to the reason for that meeting not taking place. I will say here, because of the fact that the mansion was closed to staff and to contractors, along with a note, a message or a sign on a door indicating that people were not allowed to enter. Mr. Falcone did confirm that as well. And with us having our board meeting work session coming up so closely, it makes sense to try to have it and not to have an extra meeting. We just actually had several extra meetings and we've been having plenty of them. So that was the point of trying to be able to do that. I did ask also last Monday if EnviroScience would be available. I did not get word of them not being available until yesterday. So I asked to ensure that we're able to hear directly from the experts who provided both assessments, and we can have really hear directly from them, and they would be able to answer our questions. So they are both fortunately available on Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Terry.
We had scheduled the gentleman or gentlewoman, I don't know what the person's gender is, from EnviroScience to be there on Friday. He or she said they were available Thursday or Friday. So we had the expert scheduled. So again,
Terry, I think my comment did not.
Excuse me. You may disagree with me. It's okay to disagree with me.
Terry, what I need you to understand is that, Terry, is that I didn't disagree with you. I didn't say anything to the counter. What I said and did is answer your question. That's it, Terry. No, there are no questions. We're moving on from this item.
I think, Mr. Warner, did you have a hand up?
Will Carol
David.
be available on Thursday?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Will Carol be available on Thursday?
I'm not sure. I can pose a question to both Carol and Larry to see if they would be available.
Thank you.
So I have spoken with Larry earlier and he will be available.
Thank you,
Thursday.
Carol.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get back to the hold on for a second, Ivy. Ivy, what time did you send the updated agenda?
I have it up, Antoinette. I'll check the time.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, wait, I got it.
Okay, good.
My eyes are on it now. Okay.
2:49.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So Dr. Chase, I believe Ivy shared with us the questions that we received by 5 p.m. that were related to the agenda. Can you pull yours up as well?
So I am extremely confused, and I'm not trying to add more fuel to the fire. Are you saying that I should answer the questions that were sent to me only?
No, Dr. Chase sent it, I believe, to the full board, if I remember correctly, showing what those questions were. I mean, if you got different questions sent only to you, I didn't see it, but Ivy has been, compiling all the questions, and then she sent it to us.
So we are answering questions tonight?
Well,
I'm confused. So there are questions that were sent to me from Ivy, from 3 community members.
Yes.
Okay,
we're up to 2 statements from the public.
So, okay.
Sorry. I got an email from Ivy. Maybe Ivy can confirm. It was 149 is the most recent email with the updated questions from Public Revised. That's the one that I.
Yes, that's the one.
Okay.
I forwarded as soon as I was getting them in and seeing them yesterday. I did forward it to the board and Dr. Chase, and then at the board president's request, I compiled it again with the inquiries, the specific questions, to send to the board and to Dr. Chase.
Correct. I just want to confirm so that there's no confusion with me and I'm not doing the wrong thing and I'm following the wishes of the board president, that I'm answering the questions, those 3 questions that were given to me, and that's for public, that's public questions, correct?
Dr. Chase, I think are you asking, I'm sorry. So
I don't know which public comments are being read and which are not. And I just want to make sure that I'm doing the wishes of the board. So I have questions
we can pause for a second and you can take a look at them and see what you believe to be public questions that are appropriate to our agenda to respond to and what may not be. We're not answering anything that has to do with personnel matters.
Madam President, can I ask a question, please?
Yes, Ms. Carey.
Did Ivy just say she forwarded three questions from the public to the superintendent and the board?
Yes.
And she had gone through those statements?
Yes.
Okay, then what's the confusion? If there are 3 statements from the community, then they should be read because they have been looked at and deemed not personnel issues. So whatever they are, can we please hear them now?
Yep.
So in fairness, one did have personnel, and I believe Ivy highlighted that one personnel. Am I correct, Ivy? So there is one with a personnel. So I'm going to start with the questions that were sent to me. These questions were not sent to me directly from the community. These questions I received from Ivy Kraus.
Yes, and I'm sorry, Dr. Chase, real quick, and just, yes, it was highlighted, and in Ivy's email says that they should not be responded to.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I am, okay.
Before Dr. Chase begins, I just have a question.
Yes, Terry, let me go back.
So all of the letters that we received, all of the comments, all of the commentaries that we received with people, are you saying that only the ones that Ivy passed on are the ones that's going to be read tonight?
The ones, yes, that is what's being said.
Not all of those letters had personnel issues in there, number one. Number two, what we have done in the past is we have listened to the community and we have stopped them when they start to cross the line with personnel. And we don't answer the question about personnel, but we do allow them to make their comments. And in fact, I will just add this, Antoinette, you allowed a certain community member at one of the one of these Zoom meetings to make comments about Dr. Chase, and you did not stop that person at that time. You did not answer her questions and issues that she raised, but you allowed her to make comments. And I find that inconsistent and disingenuous.
This is what I will say. When Dr. Chase asked about those questions, I said, please please respond to the questions that you deem appropriate. Thank you, Terry, for your comment. Carol, if you have anything to add about public statements in regards to personnel matters, I would appreciate it.
Sure. The board certainly wants to be consistent in what you do going forward. That should always be a goal. You had a statement that you used to read that said that the board will not entertain any questions or comments about personnel, because even when somebody makes a comment and you don't answer them, you're still allowing if you open that forum up, it can still be an issue for the person who's being discussed by that comment coming up. So the general rule should be no discussion about personnel, either in the comment or in the response, to keep it consistent.
Thank you, Carol. All right, Dr. Chase, it's back on you. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to read the questions that were sent to me. The first question asks, what is the status of the asbestos abatement at R.J. Bailey Elementary School? There's one fan room that was completed already, and the other fan room should be completed by Wednesday. Another question asks, what's the status of the ventilation related work that needed to be done on Bailey's attic, auditorium, balcony, classroom, and the built-in exhaust system? HVAC contractor was waiting for detailed lists from the architect, and once we receive it, he will proceed to price out what needs to be done and when the asbestos abatement is completed. The question continues, what is able to be repaired versus replaced? As of now, we know of one unit in the auditorium that needs to be replaced, and the other one is still being assessed, so that information is still coming into us. How much has been spent thus far on the district-wide ventilation remediation? To date, $112,802.92. That does not include what has been ordered for all exhaust fans throughout the district. The question continues, how much of that was for R.J. Bailey repairs? Currently, $86,990 for the asbestos removal. The question continues. Also, why not put any reports given to you from environmental testing companies on the GCSD website? I've been told that I will need to foil them, but what is the reason that they can't be made public? The board is still reviewing the report. I guess that's a conversation we can have because typically, it's public information anyway. Also, please explain what, if any, clarification you received since your 8/22 meeting about the EnviroScience company's recommendation requiring use of respirators to enter the mansion and the administration building. Mr. Falcone spoke about this at the 8/22 meeting, which was a Saturday. The contractor shared that it is important that individuals who enter the building do protect themselves with a mask, gloves. There are protective equipment that is recommended by the contractor. We will obviously get more information on that on Thursday. And I just want to share that the district is focused on listening to the advisement and any recommendations that come from our professionals. So we will make sure that we adhere to that for the health and safety of our staff members and our students. There was another set of questions. Someone asked, I am requesting the total number of students who were enrolled in the ESY program and the actual daily attendance number of who actually attended. I actually have that information. Just give me 1 second to go to the next screen. So the ESY program for the 2020 summer school year, there were 78 students recommended based on their IEP. However, 69 students accepted the program for pre-K through 12. That program ran from July 6th through August 14th. 23% of those students had 100% attendance. Kudos to those kids, amazing. The daily attendance ranged from anywhere between 57% to 85%, give or take, depending on the day. The average daily rate is 73%. Another question from the same individual. I'm aware that principals are allowing teachers to enter the building to retrieve materials and resources. Are these buildings safe for entry? With the multiple asbestos abatement and faulty ventilation, is it safe to allow teachers to enter the building? There are no teachers who are currently entering our buildings. We are waiting to hear from our professionals, as well as Mike Falcone, who is a professional in buildings and grounds, on Thursday to learn more about the process for allowing people to come in to retrieve their belongings. There are another set of questions, and I'm going to ask Ms. O'Neill to help me out, please. All right, so for the first question, someone did ask about the status of all buildings as it relates to school opening during the pandemic. Someone's asking for a little bit of specificity about the ventilation problems at each school and how that is being addressed and the expected timeline of remediation. Please also let us know if any board actions have been taken on any major school fixes.
Okay, so I can start with Highview. I will say that there were a couple of issues that were raised by the architect, and we've been working with BBS since July on this. So we had to repair OTPT unit to ensure proper operation. That was complete. We're working on replacing or fixing the gym air handling unit for proper operation, replacing non-operational original rooftop exhaust fans, and ensure that exhaust fans are run during occupied times. As of right now, we have fans ordered. We're waiting on a pneumatics control vendor provided by our architects to come in and look at the controls for the ventilation that's being repaired. And then we're putting in toggle switches to prevent the units from being shut off during the day. And I believe the electrician was on site this morning.
Okay.
At Jackson. One of the things that was suggested that was in the one report was to tune up boilers and repair to eliminate combustion fuel motors. That was done prior to any of this even happening. So Mr. Falcone had already addressed that. We have at Jackson, we needed to look at the pneumatic control system and reopen all fresh air intake dampers and ensure system runs during the day occupied mode. As of right now, we have 14 units that are beyond repair and need to be replaced. They are on order. So we're waiting for the exhaust fans to come in. We're still working on the dampers for the fresh air. And as I mentioned at Highview, we need to have our controls addressed. At Bailey, there were several things at Bailey. They were looking at the auditorium unit. They were looking at repairing the attic ventilation unit. They were looking to provide heat and ventilation for a classroom that was constructed in the balcony hallway. We're not doing that. They're just not going to use that area. They were to reopen, replace, and restore the building exhaust system for proper operation. I know they have been attempting to do that. We ran into, as Dr. Chase, you mentioned earlier, some asbestos. They are removing that as we speak. I believe that is scheduled to be done Wednesday. Will be done Wednesday, and everything is broken down, and testing will be done on Thursday. We have the contractor ready to come in and clean all of the exhaust fans And we have the electrician and the different vendors to come in and start looking at lists that are provided to attempt to get repairs needed there. At the high school, we had to reactivate all fresh air intake dampers. We had to look at the rooftop exhaust fans and restore them to proper operation. And we had to extend the fresh air ductwork into subdivided rooms. Right now, we have fans on order. And like the other schools, we need our ventilation controls addressed. And we still need to address the extending the fresh air ductwork into the subdivided rooms. I know that the contractor that BBS had recommended for the ventilation controls will be in mid-September.
Okay,
And
thank you.
we'll be able to provide more at that time.
Okay, fantastic. So the second question reads, what is the status of the mansion? And with all that is happening, do we still have money to proceed with mansion fix?
So right now we have at State Ed, the roof project is pending SED approval. As far as any other type of repairs, we would have to wait and speak to BBS to find out what they believe the cost of those repairs will be, the additional costs.
Okay. And the mansion will be discussed on Thursday in reference to the concerns there. Okay, so what are the Board of Ed's 3-year, and this is a question for the Board of Ed, what are the Board of Ed's 3-year, 5-year, 10-year plans? And do we have a revised goals? And we didn't pass the bond, and now fixing our buildings is the strategy to ensure safe education for our children.
David?
Have draft goals that we've been working on at our board retreat for this year. Can you hear me? Yes?
I can hear you, but it was a little low, maybe.
Okay.
Okay, now I can hear you.
We've had a board retreat meeting and we've worked on the goals for this upcoming year, some of which have to do, or a lot of them have to do with dealing with the COVID-19 crisis. So short term, we have something in the works. We are at the 5-year point. This, I believe, is the last year. So it's time this year to do what we did 5 years ago and come up with the areas in which we need to do planning for the next 5 years. And that's supposed to include the board and members of the community and members of the staff and members of the administration. So that needs to happen, COVID or no COVID. So we need to work on that.
Okay. Okay. The last question, it wasn't highlighted, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. I didn't pick the questions that should be asked at all. I typically don't, but the Board of Ed has been doing remote meetings since March 2020. It's been a full 6 months, yet some board members and directors are still not doing Zoom meetings. Is it possible for the technology people to help the ones who need tech help? So, I mean, I'm not really sure if I fully understand the question, but you know, our technology department is always here to help anyone who might need some assistance with Zoom meetings and technology. So, you know, we're always happy to work with our Department of Technology. And that is it for the questions that are not highlighted.
Antoinette, are you there?
I'm here.
Can I ask a question? What board members are not present at the meetings? Does anyone know? It appears to me everybody is always at the meetings. Okay, I'm muting myself again.
I think, Laura, maybe that was a reference to you phoning in. I'm guessing that that's what that meant. I'm not quite sure actually, but that would be my guess, that you're phoning rather than Zooming.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So they can't see my face. So they can't see my face, so I'm not present at the meetings. Okay, I hear you.
Thank you, Ms. Carey. The next item, I believe, I'm sorry, I'm flipping back and forth between our agenda, is the policies. So our first one is 5140. It's administration of the budget. Okay, administration of the budget, it actually has reached our attorney as of July 14th, 2020. So their review is complete, and they have no additional recommended changes. Before that, the admin had did complete their review, and they also had no recommended changes. The last update prior to that was July 25th, 2020, with some changes.
I have a question about that policy. I don't know who the right person, if it's Carol who's supposed to answer these questions. But my question has to do with the budget transfers, because currently, just like last year, it says so long as the transfer to any one item does not exceed $20,000, there you don't need board approval, basically. So basically, we need to approve anything that's 20,000 or over. So my first question is that kind of the standard sum for in other districts? That was my first question. And the second one was whether it would be possible for us to sort of have a regular lists of these budget transfers, regardless of their size, on sort of I guess a monthly basis from our treasurer, just so that we can see how the money is basically moving between the various line items during the year. And I don't know if this is something that needs to be written into the policy or not.
So did you want me to answer that, or do you want Mary to answer?
Whoever knows the answer.
You know, the policy on school boards, and so what they give you is this not to exceed $20,000. Is anything over $20,000 by law, you need to have the board involved. You could decide as a board that you want to approve budget transfers of less money, but it becomes very cumbersome because administration needs to act sometimes more frequently than boards meet. And this gives them the freedom and the opportunity to make those transfers, you know, with their judgment. That's why there's the $20,000. And I think there was a part 2 to that.
Yeah, so the part 2 was that, so I think I found last year that it was kind of hard to follow the money, so to speak. And I was wondering if the treasurer could provide us a monthly report on all budget transfers, regardless of their size, and whether this is something that needs to be included in the policy, or whether that's kind of just like a separate request that the board can make from the administration.
That would typically be a separate request.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
All right, are there any other questions about this policy? Okay.
I'm good with it.
Yes, thank you, David. Everyone else, any thoughts about this policy? Or like David said, he said he's good with it. Anyone else?
Yeah, we went over it, so I'm good with it.
Oh, Ashley, nope. So you went back to mute. Nope, you're unmuted, Ashley.
No, nothing on this policy. I do have comments on another one.
All right, I'm good with it too. Anyone else? Okay, I'm gonna move forward. Next one, school safety plan 5681. So again, oh no, what did I do? Okay.
He has her hand up.
I'm sorry. Who has their hand up? Tracy? No, Ivy. Did I miss? Yeah, Ivy.
He's muted.
You're muted, Ivy.
I'm working on two different computers. I apologize. I just wanted to explain this one very briefly, 5681.
Yes.
You have it scheduled that you're supposed to adopt the language, the policy revision on Tuesday, September 15th. A few weeks back, I noticed that there was a duplicate policy. I sent it to the attorney to review, and he agreed that the language was duplicative. But there was some statement, some language in the second policy that should be put into 5681. So for the board's convenience, I put those statements in blue. There were just 2 sentences, and he recommended that instead of adopting the policy 5681 on Tuesday, September 15th, to re-present it since there's new language and then adopt it in October.
Okay.
And then the other policy goes away in October?
Yes,
The
then
one
in
that
October,
becomes duplicative?
after you adopt the revisions to 5681, then you would rescind 5685.
Okay.
Ashley, is this the one you had questions on?
This is the
Okay.
first paragraph. The last sentence reads, "These plans will be reviewed and updated by the appropriate team on at least an annual basis and adopted by the board by September 1 or each school year." Is that or intentional, or was it meant to be of?
Oh,
If we don't know now, that's fine, but I think we should have that answered before we adopt it.
yeah, I agree. And this one has gone, let me see again.
Well,
So this one is, it looks like the last, okay, the attorneys had it 8/18/2020. Admin had it 8/26/2020, no changes. So they didn't make changes to the update. So Carol, could you weigh in on whether you think, I'm not assuming, Carol, that you were actually the one that worked on it. But I guess we can, get some additional feedback from the firm in regards to, was that an of or
It certainly sounds like grammatically it should be of, but let's, we can check it out and make sure.
right, so
yeah, looks like it.
81.
Okay.
So that one goes back to the lawyers. All right. Any other questions on this one?
Sure. So this looks like, in reading the policy, this looks like a job for the Safety and Technology Committee. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's my thoughts.
So we're behind, so we need to have a meeting so that we can address this and make our deadline and update our plans.
Yes,
Okay.
Ivy. It's
I
okay.
defer to Dr. Chase.
It's all good. It's all good. You first.
I was just going to say that I believe it's the school safety team that Dr. Chase put the team that she puts together. Remember, the board had appointed at the reorg meeting a school safety team. That's part of their. That's part of their.
The
duty.
task, that has to do directly with, like, the reopening
plan.
those different people.
No, it's at the reorg meeting. You had appointed a school safety team. They were all the building principals, and
Yes.
it should include other staff and community members to work on the plan. That's the school.
Just the plan itself.
Plan.
Yes. Okay.
Plan itself. Yes.
All right, because that is Dr. Chase. I know we haven't, David, had the opportunity to do charges, but last year that was one of the things that, and Ashley could correct me if I'm wrong, but that was one of the things that we did try to look through and address as well.
Right.
Okay.
So
Yes.
pardon me for being out of protocol. What I wanted to just share is that I know that at our August 22nd meeting, it was asked to identify administrative liaison as well as the charge. So I'm going to put that in Friday's packet.
Okay.
Yeah, last week I was a little preoccupied. So I'm going to work on that this week in in making sure that we have individuals to represent the district at each committee, as well as to make sure that you all have the charges. I understand that the CEC committee has already drafted charges. I'm just going to add maybe 2 more to it so that because typically the charges, will come from me. But
Yes.
right. So I'm going to just add 2 more bullets to that because I saw what you guys have done. So I'm going to add 2 more. So all of that will be in Friday's packet.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Tracy.
Okay. Any other questions about this one? All right. We are on to 6121, sexual harassment of district personnel. And
I just have a procedural question on that one. I didn't see that the administrators got a chance to review that yet. So is it ready for us, or is it okay for us to do it first?
Dr. Chase.
So I would prefer, I think Dr. Reynolds and I were a little overwhelmed with opening the schools. And, in fairness, I'd like to give Dr. Reynolds an opportunity to give one last look at it.
Okay.
Move forward. So
Okay.
if we can have a little bit more time, we could take a look at it. In fairness to him, I didn't give it to him to look at. So I think it's great that he has to take a look at it. Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
That's good. Anything else on that one, or that's it? All right. So that goes to Dr. Reynolds now. We're up to 6150.
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, we're up to 6150. It looks like this has gone back and forth a little bit. So in May, admin reviewed. In July, on July 14th, 2020, the attorneys reviewed and they completed additional information added to the GCSD version to further incorporate law. And then the admins came back and they also added titles, added as recommended by the attorneys update. So usually we end with the lawyers being the last. Carol, should we send back to you guys to take one last look?
What was the title of the policy you're talking about?
Alcohol, tobacco, drugs, and other substances.
If all that was added were the names of the folks that are going to be in the different roles, then no.
You're good.
That's not a legal issue. That's just an internal issue of who's going to be responsible.
Awesome. Okay. Any questions, David?
Do we have people already appointed as the information staff members at the various schools to handle this?
Sorry. Mr. Warner, I'm so sorry. Can you repeat your question?
So the policy calls for there to be a person appointed. You can either have one for the district or one for each school, and they're supposed to be able to provide information on controlled substances to anyone who needs the information. Who is that? Is that a social worker? Is that
So again, that we're meeting. The admins are back, and so it's sort of welcome back to school. Dr. Reynolds, can we just make sure that we bullet point this when we meet with the admins? One of the things that I'd like to see is that we do have a coordinator at least at every school, and it's not a district-wide coordination, but there is an internal coordinator at each school.
Okay.
Okay. Any other? Okay, so that is back to admin, and we're now on to policy 6220, temporary personnel. Again here, all right, they had changes to it on July 17, 2018. It was reviewed by the admin. They have no recommended changes, and then reviewed by our attorneys on July 14, 2020 with no other recommendations, recommended changes. Does anybody have any questions about this one?
So we're at 40 days? Because that's what it appears that the text reverted us to, from 90 days. Nothing happened with COVID to change that or do anything to it?
Dr. Chase, I feel like we did speak about like subs
How
at one
long,
time.
how long can a person who is not in their area of certification teach on a temporary basis? And it used to be, yeah.
Yeah, so because of COVID, there have been some new regulations on that.
Okay.
Dr. Reynolds, do you want to just elaborate on it? Do you mind?
Sure, thank you very
Sure,
much.
here you
Good evening, everyone. Through the superintendent and through the chair, the regulation remains the same. So we are at 90 days currently.
Okay.
So we're able to move out of the COVID pandemic.
And do we have to do anything? Do we need to make the policy go slow, or do we leave it in place and it's superseded and then it automatically reverts to the policy once the COVID emergency is over? Should we just go forward, or do we have to change anything?
If I may ask, if we can ask the attorney, if we can ask Carol, her direction on that. My impression is we don't have to do anything because it's state legislation.
That's
It's
correct.
policy.
That's right. Yes, agree.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Any other questions on this one or comments? Ivy, I see your hand. You're muted, Ivy.
I apologize. With respect to this, I'm just taking a quick look at temporary personnel. Was a policy that's already in place as of 2017. So if you don't want to update it, does that mean that you want to rescind it? Otherwise, you're going to have older language in it.
Which policy are you referring to now?
It's policy 6220. It's still temporary personnel. So there were updates to it. Your firm did review it and was fine with the language. But if the board doesn't want to update it, then should the policy be rescinded? Since you have to follow state regulations anyway.
So we had talked about during this period of time of COVID, whether, taking a look at all of your policies and seeing whether there was a whole list of them that needed to be not rescinded, but placed on hold. There might be a temporary hold on it. That might be one of them. You don't want to rescind it because then you're really starting from scratch.
Yeah.
You're just basically saying that anything having to do with state legislation would supersede the current policy.
I agree.
I do have a question I'm sorry, Ms. Darden-Cintron, I apologize. I do have a question for Carol. Any executive order issued by the governor, and I strongly believe there are going to be more coming down the pike, completely trumps any board policy. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So then we wouldn't need to hold it. We can just put it in place and let it be superseded. And then when it's no longer superseded, we're good.
Right. But not knowing what he's going to issue as an executive order.
Yeah.
Right. So, right. So, but I just want to make sure that we had clarity about that with his executive orders, because we do anticipate there will be more.
Going to be more.
Yes.
All right.
Buckle up, community. It's going to be a fun ride.
Okay. So, all right. So for this one, David, you're saying you believe we don't have to put it on hold because it's just going to supersede it anyway.
Yeah, I think the governor's the governor will make an edict. It'll supersede it, and then when that gets withdrawn, policy is already there.
So not necessarily a hold. Okay. We're up. Any other questions about this one? Okay. 7580, safe public school choice. Let me go there. All right. So I do see we have the last update was 7/14/2020. The attorney review has been completed. Policy doesn't apply to GCSB since we have only one public school at each grade level, and therefore it's not required. Okay. changes, and admin did look at it on March 25th, 2020. They had no recommended changes and sent it on to the attorney. Any questions on this one at all? Okay. All right. 8240. This is instructional programs, driver ed.
Oh, wait.
Whoa.
I'm sorry. 7580, same public school choice?
You have a question? I'm sorry, because I didn't see
Yes,
anybody.
I'm sorry.
Okay, go.
The question was, do we need the policy?
No, the lawyer said that it's not required because we only have one public school at each grade level. So this is not required for us.
Okay, so just keep six. Does anybody on the board feel like we need this policy? No? Good, okay.
All right. I assumed hearing no objections to the recommendation that we're good. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so back to 8240, instructional programs, driver ed, gifted and talented education, physical education. So here, some updates. So the oldest one was May 11th, 2018, and then we did have the administration review it on February 26th. They recommended no changes. And then we had our attorney review completed, and on July 14, 2020, there were no recommended changes. Any questions?
So my only question is about the terminology gifted and talented. I don't know, Dr. Chase, Dr. Reynolds, the education world, how we look at this term. I know in our district, we call advanced learners. So I don't know if we still want to utilize that term, if it's antiquated. I was interested in your thoughts on this.
So, as a 26.5 year educator, when I can't believe I just said I'm 26.5, but every child is gifted and talented. So, and I believe that anyone who understands how children learn, understand that all kids are gifted and talented. It is a very antiquated word. In our district, we chose to use the advanced learning program, right? We call our students advanced learners. I strongly suggest that we keep the language consistent to the program that we established a couple of years ago. It's one of our signature programs. Anyone who is new to our community and to our district who want to look at our policies and look at our programs will be confused with talented and gifted, right? So I think there needs to be consistency in the language. So my recommendation that it is advanced learning, and that language is consistent throughout the policy.
Okay, thank you. So so then it will read, the Board of Education will provide appropriate educational programs for students identified as advanced learners or something like that?
Yeah, that's fine. What I'm going to ask, if we can just hold off on that, I would prefer and feel a lot more comfortable if Dr. Reynolds just had a chance just to eyeball that, because this is his domain. And I'd like if he can just eyeball that to ensure that we are consistent with the language throughout, and then we'll bring it back to the board.
Thank you.
Great.
Dr. Reynolds' hands.
Dr. Reynolds.
Thank you. And if I may, I just need to remind everyone that there is a certification domain that is gifted and talented.
That's
so while we may need to reference that for certification purposes, we can state our policy without using that nomenclature any longer.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
All right. And Ivy, you changed it, right? The title.
No, the title. I'm sorry. The title, the recommended change to the title from Erie Wombosi's was, instead of instructional programs, driver's ed, gifted and talented, and so forth, it was instruction in certain subjects. It was a very generic title. Within the body of it, it does reference gifted and talented students. There's one sentence related to that. So, but I'll make sure that Dr. Reynolds has a copy of it to review. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Tracy, and I think Dr. Chase might want to say something. I saw your box light up.
Yeah, for clarity, so they're doing it generally, but we can still have ours separated and specified, right? Anyone?
of that.
No. Can we still have ours separated and specified if Erie 1 has theirs general?
Carol, Dr.
Carol,
Reynolds.
Yeah, I mean, that's
whoever
just,
knows.
It can
that
be
sounds,
modified.
I was just waiting to see
Okay.
if an administrator had a comment.
Right.
That sounds stylistic to me. You know,
Okay.
whether you break it down in paragraphs, you put a heading,
Okay,
that's your prerogative.
okay,
Correct. And in the past, we've used Erie 1 as a guidance. We've modified it and tailored it to the needs of Greenberg Central
Right.
School District. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that for me, I want to leave it, separated because I just want to make sure that we have a commitment to educating our advanced learning students as well. And I don't want that to kind of get lost in anywhere.
Okay. All right. So that is it for the policy review. Okay, let's see what's here. All right, so I see next is a list of required policies provided for Erie 1 BOCES. And this is under policy making process. Let me click into that. All right. So I don't know if everyone else has taken a look at it. Ivy, you added this, or I'm sorry, Dr. Chase, maybe you might have.
That's the policymaking process. That's just for the board's information.
Okay. So hopefully everyone had a chance to look at it. The policy manual tracking. Let me go down again. I mean, everybody should be able to see it, but it lists the policies and pretty much when it was adopted, when it was updated, reviewed. I believe too at one time we feel like I have we actually had something very similar to this, and we were keeping track of when admin looked at it, when the attorneys, and when the board also looked at it as well. And then we also have a policy review chart. I remember, Ivy, I don't remember what year you created this, but I remember that was Ivy's doing.
And I updated it based on the board's changes.
Modified.
Yeah, so for anybody who cannot see it, this is Ivy's fancy flow chart of how our policy procedures take place. Okay, so let me close out of there. Okay, so now let's see. We have a policy presented for adoption. This is policy 7530, child abuse and maltreatment. Okay, that's not it. That's weird. Let me go. Okay, all right. So this one's again presented to the board for adoption for 9/15/2020. That's the schedule. Again, just to kind of go over real quickly, it was updated multiple times. Let me see. I see we had one change in January 29th, 2019, came back January 31st, 2020. At this point now, in February, our administrators had taken a look at it, reviewed it, and there were no changes recommended at that time. The attorney has their review on April 3rd, 2020. And they added additional information to incorporate the law. Admin reviewed again. They had no update to the attorney's update. So that's where we are. We will be adopting this at our 9/15/2020 meeting. Any questions about this one? We should have. Okay. All right, let's see. Let me get out of here.
Words Smith.
Okay, let's see. All right, so that is it for the policies so far. And we are now up to adjourning our meeting for executive session. So can I get a motion to adjourn to?
Wait, I think Dr. Chase is.
Sorry,
raising
Dr.
his hand.
Chase.
She's muted.
So we do have individuals who are waiting in the waiting room.
Yes,
We have brand new teachers who've been
Yes.
waiting. And I think that to go into executive session and have them wait any longer would not be a good deal. It would be great if we can introduce them to the community. And I am
Yeah.
hoping that the board will accept my recommendation to hire these individuals to our school district.
yes, let's bring them in. Tracy, are you bringing them in?
I am here. I have Dr. Chase's list. I'm gonna
Okay.
open Mr. Davis Santiago, correct?
Yep.
That is correct.
Okay. I have Miss Melissa Fallon. I have Annette M, but this is Angelina. So am I letting her in? I don't know who that is.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Then I have Shantae Rogers Blair,
Yes.
letting her in, and Alex Pandolfi.
Yes.
Sorry, I butcher names. Okay. I think that's it. That was in the waiting room. That's all I see. Okay.
Dr. Chase, are we missing anyone?
Miss Brianna Brown.
Oh, I don't see her there.
Miss Brianna Brown was with us at RJ Bailey last year as a leave replacement. We are so excited to bring her on as a full-fledged teacher. So it'll be great if everyone can lay eyes on her this evening.
I don't think she's on, she's in the waiting room any longer, Dr. Chase.
She was in the waiting room. Okay.
She was at one, yes.
Okay. And the only thing I ask kindly is Davis Santiago, for some reason, every time I see you, you're always sideways, right?
There is. Oh, wow. He is sideways.
Every time I see you, you're side. There you go. There you go. Awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen of the Greenberg Central School District, our community, our families, our students who are watching, and those who are just interested in watching our board meetings and our board, I'd like to introduce you to 7 superstars, members who I hope to welcome into the family very, very shortly. They went through a pretty rigorous vetting process, with meeting with the school level, then meeting with Dr. Reynolds, and then finally meeting with me. You know, we take pride in meeting all of our individuals and to make sure that we are putting the right people in front of our students. And it is our goal that every student will have their teacher in front of them on September 11th. Dr. Reynolds has been working really, really hard in making sure that all of those vacancies are being filled. And I thank him for his hard work and his dedication and his commitment. And I want to thank all of the administrators who participate in bringing these awesome individuals to us. I know Tracy Mayers introduced them already. So one of the things I'd like to do once again for those of us who are watching, because they do deserve their just due. I'm just going to read their name. If they can just wave their hands really quickly, even though their names are at the bottom. I'm going to do that really quickly.
Dr. Chase, before you
they
do
say
that,
hi?
can you say, when you read their names, can you say what school they're going to or what
Yeah, I'm
area
going to
so
pull up
people
that.
know?
Sure, I'm going to pull up that
Thank you.
resolution. Absolutely. I'm going to pull up the resolution to do just that.
Or you could have each of them say a sentence.
You know what I would prefer, Mr. Warner? You know, you and I are definitely on the same page. You know what I prefer? I prefer to call their name, and I would
Yeah.
prefer the community to hear their voice. So it would be even better if they can just say where they will be assigned upon board approval. Dr. Reynolds?
Can we just check to see if Megan Forrest is in a waiting room?
Okay, so while you're doing that, I'll start calling the names and allow people to introduce themselves. Fair enough?
There's no
No?
one.
Ms. Darden Cintron, you shook your head, no?
Oh, no, I was saying it doesn't look like anyone's in the waiting room. That's
I
what I was
don't see
saying.
anyone.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
So maybe she'll come in, maybe she's watching and she'll come in eventually. So being that I teased Davis Santiago, I'm going to start with you. Make sure you guys really quickly unmute your phones, unmute your mics, excuse me. That is the phrase of 2020, unmute your mic. You're muted. So make sure that you do that, and so that we can just move this along. David Santiago.
Hello, everyone. My name is Davis Santiago. I'd like to say good evening to the members of the Board of Education and the community members as well. And I've been assigned to R.J. Bailey Elementary School as an E&L teacher.
Okay, Alex Pandolfi.
Hi, everyone. Greenberg Community Board of Education. Dr. Chase, I can see you today. Just so
Oh my gosh, I know. That's an inside joke. It's between us.
But yes, I'm happy to be part of the Greenberg community. I actually student taught in Greenberg back when my career started, so I'm happy actually to make my return. And I will be joining the early childhood program.
Welcome.
And I'm sorry to chime in here, Dr. Chase, but it must be noted that Mr. Pandolfi is probably the first, if not the first in a long time, male teacher at the early childhood program.
Awesome. That's great.
Recommended this evening. I apologize. Being recommended this evening.
Being recommended. Being recommended, absolutely. And before we leave, we got to see that. We got to see Joseph.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make an effort to get him in.
Got to see Joseph. Miss Shantae Blair Rogers. Shantae was with us last year as a leave replacement. We're so happy to bring her in as a full-time teacher. Shantae.
Good evening, everyone. I am super excited to be recommended as a third grade teacher at Highview. Mr. M is going to have a hard time getting rid of me if all goes well, but I'm really excited to see what our rock stars are going to do this year.
All right. Okay. I love that. I love that. Melissa Fallon is with us. I see you. Melissa Fallon was with us last year. You know, it's almost as if like these people go through a test run, if you will, right? And they've done so well, and look at where they are now. Greenberg knows how to retain its people. We retain our people. There you go. Melissa, talk to us. You're muted. Or we can't hear you. Maybe your audio's not on.
I think it's her audio because it doesn't show her as muted.
It's probably her audio. So Melissa, what I'm going to do is just come back to you. By that time, you probably will have your audio fixed, or maybe you can just send something in the chat, but we definitely want to hear from you. Brianna Brown is not with us, unfortunately. Brianna Brown will be at R.J. Bailey Elementary School, and Dr. Reynolds, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe she is SWD Social Studies?
That's correct.
Okay. And again, Brianna Brown was with us last year. And here's another person. She was a brand new teacher. She did so well. We're really happy to continue our work with her. And Miss Annette Angiolillo. I know I totally. Okay. And you can see me today.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm going to be a leave replacement school psychologist at the middle high school.
Awesome sauce. Good stuff. Good stuff. Melissa Fallon, are you ready? And I see Joseph. So I'm having all kinds of feelings right now.
Melissa? 20 months today.
20 months today? Awesome.
20 months today. He was born New Year's Day, 2019.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we asked Joseph to be here, and I'll tell you why. It's a little bit of a non-traditional way of interviewing. Joseph was a part of our interviews with Dr. Reynolds, and he was a part of our interview. And you know, the thing about Zoom is that we have to take into consideration that Zoom allows us to come into people's homes, right? So you guys are in my home, I'm in your homes right now. And we didn't want anyone to change what traditionally happens in their home during a Zoom meeting. And, you know, Joseph played a really big role in the interview process. And so I just wanted everyone to see Joseph because he was part of the interview, and, you know, we're all in this together. So Joseph, congratulations.
Hello, Joseph.
Thank you.
And it seems, it seems that Ms. Fallon is still having some difficulty. I know that there's some a difficulty with the connection because I got kicked off at the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah.
So sometimes and my video went out first. So it's either the video or the audio sometimes that's working depending on the connection.
So Dr. Reynolds, while she's waiting on that, and I don't know if we'll ever have her audio, and I hope we will, because I know she definitely wants to say something. Can you just speak a little bit about where Melissa Fallon will be placed?
Sure, absolutely. So Ms. Fallon is going to be working over at Highview, and she'll be taking a retirement position. I almost made a mistake there. She'll be taking a retirement position. So Ms. Fallon, I'm just going to ask you, don't worry about your audio. Just sit back and smile and wave.
Yeah, we got
And
you.
we want to welcome you aboard. We're very happy that you're here, and we can see that just from this evening, you're going to be able to work through adversity and challenge. So thank you very much.
That was a great introduction, Dr. Reynolds. Yes,
Thank you.
I concur. She's ready.
All right.
And
So
we have one more person who is not able to join us this evening, and that is Ms. Megan Forrest. And Ms. Forrest will be assigned to Highview Elementary School. She was a leave replacement there last year and will be returning to us. So we're very excited that she'll be coming back and joining the community at Highview.
you know, this, Dr. Reynolds, while we're on the topic of personnel, can you just speak to how many vacancies do we have remaining at this point, to this day?
Yes, we have approximately, and I'm saying approximately with the information that we currently have, 6 remaining vacancies. But those positions are already 2/3 of the way through the interview phase. So we are in a very good place. I wish we could have gotten them completed by this evening, but we want to be sure that we follow all of the protocols, all of the legislation, and all of the requirements and vetting process. So we might need a request of an additional special meeting prior to the opening of school. Again, that's for a conversation with the board later, but we are in a very good place compared to where we were 2 weeks ago.
Correct. And there's also a resolution that the board passed during the reorg that these people can start. I can give them a letter absent of the board approval. So they can actually be approved on the 15th and still
Wonderful.
start with us on the 8th.
Thank
so
you.
we can
Okay.
exercise that right.
That's great. Thank you very much for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So ladies and gentlemen, community members, those who are out there in YouTube world and the Board of Education who's before us, these are our newest members of the Greenburgh Central School District family. We look forward to their success. And we know the school year is going to look just a little bit different, but we have full faith and full confidence that it's going to start well. And we do believe that we have the right people on the bus. Welcome aboard, everyone.
Welcome. Thank
hopefully,
you.
Hopefully. I don't want to be premature. Hopefully.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now we are. Did someone say something? David? I thought I heard a voice.
It's Melissa Fallon trying to get through.
Perseverance. That's that perseverance shining through.
It is, and she's muted. So
no, she's made it to being
now
muted.
she's muted. Okay.
Now she's muted. That's a start.
Can she unmute? Yes. Anything? No.
But she's still trying. Okay. So with that said, are there any other items before I make a motion to go into executive session? Okay. So can I get a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss the employment history of particular persons being considered for the board action this evening at the next meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Hey, Ivy, did you catch that?
Yes.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any extensions? Okay, the motion carries. We are going into executive session.
Okay, we want to thank our soon-to-be new teachers for joining us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you on the 8th.
Thank you for having us.
All right, thank you. All right, so now.
Do you want me to help put some people into the waiting room?
Yes.
All righty. So let's get back to board action. Sorry, I'm back in the
I
agenda.
would like to have my question about the school calendar answered, please. And that is, since we are going to make amendments to the school calendar, when will we get a revised calendar that will represent the changes?
Okay, Ms. Carey, I'm gonna ask you to wait on that though, just because I just want to finish getting through the agenda. If I can stop scrolling through my iPad. Sorry, guys. Okay. Board action items. The first item on the board action items is the school calendar. So let's have that discussion.
Yeah, so obviously with COVID, quite a few things changed. And when we agreed on the school calendar some time ago, we had no idea that we would be in a pandemic. That being said, we had to alter our opening days. And so originally the board approved September 2nd as the day that teachers returned, and September 8th is the day that the students returned. As you know, we changed the return date for all. So whether it's going to be remote or in-person hybrid, the new date is September 11th for our students, and our teachers will return September 8th, 9th, 10th. I'm front loading my superintendent conference days. Typically those conference days will be spread out throughout the year, but I'm front loading them for the purpose of making sure that our teachers are prepared for our students on September 11th. So the question was asked, when will the board see the revised calendar? Well, once you approve it, then we'll go ahead and make those revisions. And so you'll have that in paper, and we'll make sure that we communicate that to our community as well. The printed calendar that we typically get, that has not been posted as of yet. I've asked Miguel Barrios and Ivy to just kind of hold off on that because I wanted to make sure that we approve the new start date for everyone, and so that calendar, the printed version, the electronic version reflects what it is that that we vote on today. So I wanted a little bit of consistency. Had we released it before, it would have reflected the old dates.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Ms. Carey, you had questions about the calendar. Did Dr. Chase answer those for you already?
That's all I wanted. I just wanted to know, when we would get a revised calendar. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, great. Next, we have debt service fund. Hold on. Any questions on the debt service fund? Nope. No questions on the school lunch fund. Tax anticipation. Go ahead. I heard David, maybe? No? Tax anticipation note. Any question or comment on the PPS committee recommendations? Okay, let's move on. Board action with regards to our minutes.
Well, wait a minute.
Yes.
With this tax anticipation note, this is a resolution, is it not? Is that what this is?
Yes, it's a resolution.
Hold on, I went too fast. I'm sorry. Okay. So can I get a motion?
Wait a minute, my dear. I'm not finished my question. Is this supposed to be read out loud in public, since it's a resolution, and should be done maybe at the regular board meeting? I'm just asking the question. Our lawyer can answer it.
Carol?
There's no, you're in public session, so you can vote on anything that's appropriate. As far as do you need to read the whole thing out loud? If you have distributed, typically you would distribute your agenda, your resolutions would be there, and your public would have access to it. So if the public really has no access to it, in order to include them in what you're doing, you can read it. You can, sometimes boards will summarize if it's too long.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Mayers, can Mary just add a little bit more information, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
This is a standard resolution that you approve every year. This is in the event that we needed to issue a tax anticipation note. That's all it is. We're not issuing any debt. We're not doing anything. It just gives us the ability if we need to. And I will say in the time I've been here, we've never needed to.
So does anyone want to make a motion to approve this note?
Well, we'll just do it as part of the normal.
Okay.
The normal process of doing it kind of in bulk.
Right.
So we have our. Go ahead, Ms. Carey.
No, I was going to say, I think this happens at the end of this.
Okay, thank you. So we're down now to the review agenda items for our next meeting. We have the board action minutes. Did anyone get a chance to look at their minutes? Anyone have any changes, recommendations? No? Okay. And then we have board action, board policy. And board goals. Our goals are here. We kind of edited those. I think it was last meeting or the meeting before.
Yes.
Records retention schedule.
I'm gonna read this.
Board of, huh?
I'm just trying to read. I'm trying to read the agenda on my cell phone. It's just.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I have it on an iPad, but it's moving as I'm going through it. Board of registrars. Facilities department, which included our assets. The finance treasurer's report. The finance warrant report. No questions. And there's an amendment to the Mid-Westchester Lawn Service. And a joint bid with Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES. Curriculum contract, Leslie Levine or
Yes.
Levine.
Yes, and the board received backup information about that several weeks ago. Yeah.
I did see, hold on, I gotta go to my paper copy. I did see some, there were just some very simple errors in the date. One was on the Westchester prep contract. I think the other one was Leslie Levine or Levine. Ivy, did Antoinette get to talk to you about those? No. If you open the contract, or at least the one that I got printed on paper, definitely for the Westchester prep, and I think the other one was for the Leslie Levine. The date on it had 1920. So I just wanted that to make sure that that's updated to 2021.
I'm sorry, I'm a little lost here. What item are you on? Tracy?
Yes, the curriculum contract, I think the contract was Westchester Prep. And then the other one, so I have it in hard copy, so I don't know. I gotta look back at the number. I'm sorry, on the computer here.
Okay, are we on number 12?
E, and then the number is E12, yes.
I had a question about that.
If you look at the term of agreement, Ivy, it has this agreement shall be in effect from September 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2020. I just wanted to make sure it says 2021. And then there was another one, and I feel like, and of course I have a stack of papers here. I feel like it was Leslie Levine, because it was the one either right before or right after. Yes, it was Leslie Levine. If we can just change those two to say June 30th, 2021, please. And then, Ms. Dragic, what was your question?
I had a question about the Westchester Prep. In fact, about all of these services, I'd like to know how they're going to be provided to the students. is it going to be individual Zoom sessions or classes via Zoom? What is their, excuse me, their plan to tutor the kids under the circumstances?
You want me to take it, Dr. Reynolds, or you got it? Okay. All right. So Westchester Prep obviously will be working with a handful, quite a few of our students. And it's really students that they've worked with in the previous year. They would like to continue the work all the way until the next SAT session. That being said, those kids will be working remotely with Westchester Prep. They're not going to be working in person in class. They're going to be using a variety of ways to reach our students. I don't have that description exactly yet, but I can get that description and put it in Friday's packet, in addition to this information I've already provided with Westchester Prep.
Right. I guess one concern is, I mean, first of all, that the quality of the tutoring remains the same. And then the second concern is that you can actually track the billing and how that will be trackable, given that everything's going to be happening on Zoom.
You said the billing?
The billing, yes.
So I believe if in terms of tracking the billing, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Reynolds, Westchester Prep is charging us $1. Am I confusing the contracts?
I think you're confusing the contracts.
Okay.
I mean, if it's 161,000 that we're approving,
I know one of them
for
charged
this,
$1. That wasn't the Westchester Prep. That's not Ed Messina's group.
Westchester Prep is Mr. Messina's group, yes.
Yeah, so I'm just asking, how will you know how many individual sessions they had, group sessions? How will they be billing the same as if they were in-person sessions, or is there a lower price? I mean, what?
So, Dr. Chase, so yeah, through the superintendent, to my knowledge, is not a lower price because they are not meeting in person. This is in anticipation that we may be returning to school in September. I'm sorry, we may be returning to school by the end of the year. So the contract, as it's stated, is really for in-person sessions, with the caveat to be remote if necessary. But to my understanding, there is not a provision for a decrease in price due to the remote nature.
So you're saying that there will be no tutoring until we fully resume school, like full schedule?
No, that wasn't, I'm sorry if I may have misstated. That wasn't my intent to relay that information. Tutoring will begin during the regular cycle. School is open on September 8th. And forgive me for walking through this. I want to be sure that I get this the correct way. But the way the contract is written currently that we're signing was in anticipation of school opening either hybrid or in person, which would continue through the year because we don't know when we are transitioning back. Well, we do know when we're transitioning back to hybrid, but we don't necessarily know when the governor is going to transition and say schools are now open fully, there is no need. So we had to have the contract presented as if we were coming in fully, and then we would augment the contract based on the actual usage of the services.
Okay, and I'm just curious, do they present you with a monthly bill based on usage? Or
yes, that's my understanding, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Are you done with your questions? I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. So Westchester Prep, and then Southern Westchester BOCES is E13, E14, Achieve Beyond, E15, RFP for Health Source Group, Inc., Holistic Learning Center, LLC.
I have a question about that.
Which one? Health Source?
I have a question on number 16, Holistic Learning Center.
Okay.
I just wanted to understand what exactly that was. Parent training and at an hourly rate of $185.
Dr. Chase, Dr. Reynolds.
Forgive me, I'm trying to
Yeah.
refresh my memory.
So am I, because it's actually on my cell phone. So just give me 1 second.
Sure.
Okay, you were asking about holistic learning. I apologize. Can you just ask that question again?
I would just like to know what exactly that service means, provide parent training and counseling as needed.
So we are required under the law to provide training to our parents, students with SWD. And so this organization will actually fulfill that requirement.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And Therapeutic Horizons, Westchester Therapy Solutions, XAMPP Tutoring.
So I have a question about those two as well. I'm so sorry. I mean, I'm sure that this question was asked before, but I'm just looking at these services that are provided to us by these companies, and I always wonder if it wouldn't be more cost effective and perhaps even better to provide them in-house, if it would be possible even. But the occupational therapy and the physical therapy and the evaluations and screenings, if that is something that would be more cost effective, were we to actually hire people to do these jobs.
Well, not even go ahead. Dr. Reynolds, go ahead. This is your area.
So many of the services that are being provided are for us to meet IEP requirements. They may be services that may not be able to be provided by our faculty members during the contractual day, or the licensing that's required to for these services may not be readily held by our faculty and staff. The reason for contracting with outside vendors is for the specified IEP related services that need to be delivered, either after hours, during certain types of instructional days. Like, for instance, we're going into remote, so there will be an opportunity for students to receive these services to meet the needs of the IEP. Sometimes these are for corrective actions as well.
Right. But I also thank you, Dr. Reynolds, for that answer. That's awesome. But I also want to just add to a question that you've asked about, would it be in our best interest to have in-house people? It is always in the best interest to have in-house people. Number one, they know our kids, they know our families, and you can also have access to them much differently than an agency. For instance, if an agency, sometimes, if someone's absent, sometimes you may not know in time, whereas in-house folk, you'll know you can find a replacement for that person. So there are advantages to it. Our district has started the hiring of, OT, speech, and we'll continue to look for those people, those in-house individuals. I think we started those positions about 4 years ago, bringing in some in-house folks. We'll need some more, but I have to say that at some schools, we're sort of running out of space because these people do need therapy and sensory rooms so that they can actually do their work. But that's something that we have to continue to look at, and we'll continue having conversations with the board about that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I believe we left off at Devereaux and Pleasantville UFSD. Okay, no questions or comments. So we're going to move on to closing items. Is there a motion to approve the instructional personnel items presented to the board for approval this evening?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And is there a motion to approve the non-instructional personnel items presented to the board for approval this evening?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. And Lastly, is there a motion to approve the board action items presented for the board approval this evening?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next, we have mailings. So we need to have a discussion regarding mailings, right? Ivy, do you want to say something about this at all or no?
Sure. The board president had requested that this item be added to the agenda. It was due to that email that you and she and I received regarding receiving agendas. I provided a little bit of background into agendas being mailed to people on a mailing list. When COVID hit, we shut down and agenda mailings have stopped. The mail is dependent on when the post office closes and when we can get the agendas completed. I surveyed other school districts to see what they do, and as you can see from the list that I provided, they don't mail out agendas since it's available on their website. So again, it was brought up. Ms. Darden-Cintron requested it be added to the agenda for discussion to see how the board would like to, what direction the board would like to move in, given the technology age.
So something letting you know that they wanted to have the agenda sent to them?
Correct. And every year I would send out a mailing asking them if they wanted to be on this mailing list. And they would have to respond. And if I didn't hear back from them after sending a reminder or two, then I would drop them off the list just to keep the list current.
Okay, so I do believe that there are those of us who are not technologically astute. You get to a certain point where it can become a very annoying feat. But I do believe that if people would like to have that happen and they sign up for it, then it's their responsibility to let you know every year whether or not they want to stay on the list. I don't think that it should be your responsibility to send them out, or however nice it is, and all of that, to send out reminders to them, reminding them whether or not they want to be on the list. That's my 2 cents.
I think, Ms. Carey, the question wasn't whether I should be reminding them. It was the issue that they haven't been receiving it because of the closure, and our agendas are not getting done at the time where we can mail them before the post office closes.
Yes, I was just responding to your explanation as to what you used to do.
Yep.
You know, if they signed up, then you would remind them. And
Yes.
I'm just saying, I don't think it's your responsibility to do that. If they want it, then they will sign up every year for it. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, does anyone else have any input or opinion about this?
So what are you proposing to do in terms of what has to happen before we can resume?
In order to mail out in the explanation that I provided the board in your packet, the post office closes at 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
You see the time frame. I work backwards as to when the absolute latest that I need an agenda, and with all the other issues on this whole
Yep.
everything that's going on, the agendas are not being completed before I have an opportunity to print them and collate them, put them in envelopes, run it through the postage machine and so forth to get it to the custodian so he can get it to the post office in time.
So are you saying that COVID-19 needs to go away before we can resume or not?
I would think so, but that's not my call.
Oh, okay.
Again, it was put on because there was someone who had requested agendas a week in advance.
Mm-hmm.
which you know that we get them finalized on the Friday before a meeting. And sometimes, you know, we have to issue revisions because we're not done by Friday to get everything that the board meets, since you only meet a couple of times during the month.
So your alternatives could be to say, here's a cutoff. We'll give you what we've got at this point, and you might be 90% there, but you won't be 100%.
Well, that would increase the number of revised agendas that you would get, because once I cut it off and post it, I can't keep adding. Then you would, once I post it as an agenda, then I have to issue a revised agenda. And I know that the board feels a certain way about getting revised agendas on a continuous basis.
So then your recommendation at this point is to continue not sending them out until things normalize.
I would think that that's the best. Because as I said, a lot of administration and those that are putting things on the agenda, they are dealing with trying to reopen school.
How do other people feel about this?
And also with board docs, districts that had sent it, or I should say, when I surveyed, other districts do not do this. The one district that did stopped when they had board docs because the agenda is available on the website. As soon as I post it, whether it's 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, or Saturday morning, whenever it was completed, you know, everyone has immediate access. The board members and the community members have immediate access to it.
Okay, that's fine. Whatever is decided, you know, it's okay with me. Whether we do it or not, it does not matter, because once I'm a part of the community again, if I want the board docs, I will have to have somebody get them for me. So I'm good with that. I'm good with
that. What's the quantity of these reports that like, how many people are we sending it to?
We send, the mailing list has about 20.
Okay. So from my perspective, at least I'll speak for myself. I don't think that, you know, with the volume of 20, and given the fact that it looks like essentially all of our neighboring school districts in some shape or form no longer do this, couple that with the fact that we're still in COVID-19 world and we have no idea how long we'll be in this mode, I think it's fair to consider it a practice that we no longer continue.
So I hear Mr. Pineda's position. Anyone else want to take a actual position on this, or?
I think that when things normalize, that we should offer the service for as long as people want it. And I think it'll die away slowly by itself as the youngest people are more tech oriented.
Okay, so David, though
I keep
during COVID, you're saying suspended.
During COVID, nothing happens.
Thank you.
Right, because we can't. Right. Oh. Once COVID is over, assuming that you know, everything goes back to some semblance of normalcy, I would go back and continue it until there aren't people who want it anymore.
Okay, Mr. Williams, Dr. Dodger, thank you.
I agree. That sounds reasonable. I mean,
Mr. Williams, Ms. Carey?
I'm still thinking about it.
May I just clarify?
Yes.
On a point that Mr. Warner made, with like the age of those requesting it, there are community members who are on the computer, but choose to receive a mailed copy. So it's not just those that don't have access to a computer or know how to use it. They just find it easier to receive it.
That was me, Ivy. So I'm with you. Thank you for that. Mr. Williams is thinking, and Ms. Carey.
I said I'll go along with the majority.
Okay, back to you, Mr. Williams. I think you're muted.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about it. I'm inclined to, especially I think the last thing that maybe Ivy said or somebody said, that they that when she talked with folks who were of a certain age, and she didn't use that word, but also computer savvy, still wanted it in the mail. I see we have this number. Oh, so $528 per year. I don't think that's a significant. Go ahead, Ivy.
I'm sorry. Just to clarify that point, that's average on postage. That doesn't include the custodian overtime and also the supply costs.
Well, I certainly don't want to be the one who. I say let's keep it.
And you know I'm all for keeping it, Ivy, because I myself wanted a paper copy. So I'm always gonna, as long as we don't have a huge number of people and it financially is getting expensive. Okay.
Ivy?
Carrie, go ahead.
No. I want to ask Ivy a question. Ivy, you're saying that someone will drop them off at the houses of the people who want them. Is that what you said?
No, once I have it completed, then I give it to the custodian who takes it to the post office.
Okay, now the other question is, when there are changes made to the agenda, those who received it will not get those changes.
No.
They will get what is considered an old agenda, right?
What they're getting, so when we were meeting in person, they would receive the agenda in the mail. And I used to get comments from community members on the mailing list that they weren't getting it until Tuesday. Well, the earliest that I can mail it is the Friday before they close, before the post office closes. And then if a new agenda was being issued, you would see it that Tuesday. The revised agenda would be that Tuesday. And whether there was a revised agenda or not, I would still make copies for the board meetings for members of the public.
I know. Okay. That's why I'm saying to mail them out, and there are changes that they would have to pick up if they came to the board meetings anyway. I don't know if that's, a cost savings to us or not. I think that at this particular point, that I'm for disbanding that particular thing that we do with the agenda.
Okay, so Mr. Williams, you have your hand up.
Sure, Ivy. I'm sorry if you covered this before, but even in the best case scenario, aren't these agendas arriving late anyway? If I heard.
Yes, I've heard, not from every community member, but from some community members who are on the mailing list will say that they didn't get it in the mail until the Tuesday of the meeting.
Right. And because for the Tuesday meetings, you said it goes out Friday.
It goes out. So the custodian gets there before 5 p.m.
Right.
And then however the post office processes it, or it gets to the postal worker that's actually doing the delivery.
And we don't know what percentage of them gets delivered on time, right?
No.
We don't have any data like that.
You said go ahead.
I'm sorry. Do we have a sense? And again, I know it's anecdotal, Ivy, but do you get a sense that just from people maybe calling you that the majority of those that get mailed out are late?
No, I don't get a lot of calls. It's from the same community members, so it might be just their particular route.
Right.
That's late.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that helps me. Thank you. I stick with what I said to keep it. Thank you. You're muted, Tracy.
Sorry, I am muted. Thank you. It looks like a majority of the people are saying to keep it for right now. And so at least when COVID ends, we're keeping it. But when COVID is in session, we're not. Am I understanding that correctly, Ivy?
That was the sense that I got from the board.
Okay. And you know what? Maybe this is an issue that can be discussed a little bit more in the community engagement and communications meeting, because maybe we can look at how many people actually have interest in our community with receiving it hard copy. So maybe that's something we can kind of discuss further there. Okay, I think we're through our agenda, and we have new business, but I feel like Dr. Chase wanted to say some things about childcare, and there was something else that came up in exec session, but we couldn't talk about it because it was not exec session items. I see two hands also.
Okay, you might want to let them go and then
Yeah. Okay, so Mr. Williams.
So I had an item that I wanted to share with new business. Unfortunately, I guess I did not get it in time for the agenda. We have a 5-day requirement. So to the folks who I sent that to, I will keep that in mind for the next time, for the next meeting, to meet the 5-day requirement. I do have a question, however, for Ivy and perhaps even Carol. Ivy, have there been any RFPs that went out recently?
Has there been an RFP?
Right. Yeah. Are all RFPs public?
Ms. Melnick?
I'm sorry, Carol. I don't think the people listening can hear you. You're on mute.
You're muted.
Yes,
are all RFPs public?
If it's a public document, then that RFP is public. It's something that the community could foil. It's not something that you would, any individual person would distribute. It's something that could be foiled.
Sure.
As any document from the district.
Sure. So let me ask you this. Ivy, could you please share with us the RFPs that have gone out in the last week?
I'm not the department's business office and student services. I would have to check to see what RFPs they've issued.
Because I got an email. I'm sorry.
No, I don't get all the RFPs. I'll get RFPs when they're presented to the board for approving a contract. So I wouldn't know all the RFPs that went out in the last week.
So Carol, you as the attorney, you approve. What is your role with our RFPs? Do you approve them before they go out? Do you review them?
Not necessarily me personally. We have several attorneys who actually support Greenberg. So as you heard before with policy, I may be aware, but I may not have reviewed it. So okay. I don't generally review them, but one may come across my desk here and there.
Okay. Have any come across your desk in the last 2 weeks?
To review, no.
No RFPs have come across your desk for review in the last 2 weeks?
Not for review.
Okay. Have they come across Larry's desk?
Mr. Williams, I'm not sure what you're trying to get at here.
I'm just asking, this is new business. I'm asking about RFPs. I have a right to ask the question. You said no. I just asked if you knew if it came across Larry's desk.
I think everyone knows right now where some folks work from home, some folks work in the office. Sometimes we are there at the same time. Sometimes we get correspondence together. But at the point that I would get something, it would be, if it's being negotiated or being reviewed, that's not something I would discuss in public session. That would be something that I would discuss in executive session, but not in public session.
Sure. Okay,
because then it's attorney-client. You understand it's attorney-client information that you're asking me about, and that's not a public session discussion.
Fair enough. Thank you for that legal advice. So So I think my last point or point that I would make is to any voters, any residents who are out there still watching, please feel free to file a FOIL request regarding any RFPs that the district has issued in the last 2 weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. I saw, is it either, I saw someone else's hand up for a new business. Ah, there she is. Okay, you're muted, Tanya.
Okay, I hope we're done with the RFP business. But I am not sure that this is necessarily qualifies as new business. I wanted to go back to this notion of requesting that our treasurer provides us with monthly reports of the budget transfers, of all budget transfers. So I don't know if this is the appropriate place to do it, or if it should be part of the, I think now it's the Finance and Facilities Committee that should make a recommendation, or just simply request it from her. I'm not quite sure what the right process is, but I would really like this to be part of her reports to the board. And by the way, I believe she also said she was going to be coming, I don't know if it was going to be to our work sessions and meetings or just our meetings. But I would like her to attend at least one, if not both.
She was at the other meetings. I don't know if there was a
I don't
reason.
have a full screen, so I may not have seen her. I just have
Is
limited
Mary
view.
O'Neill still here?
I'm
Hi, Mary. Do you know if our treasurer was available tonight, or?
Was she sent an invite to the meeting?
I don't know that for sure, so I can't say yes, but okay, so we need to make sure that the treasurer has the invite to the meeting, and hopefully she will be here. But can you relay the request, Mary?
Mary, is that up to you to relay both requests, or I mean,
Or do we?
I would like this to be done. I just don't quite know what the right mechanism to get both of those things. The treasurer in at least our meetings,
right,
and also a monthly report on all line, what are they called? Budget line transfers.
Right.
So I would ask Ivy or whoever sends out the initial invite to include the treasurer.
You know what, Mary, typically what I do is when I get the invite usually goes to the full board. I'm on the board mailing list. The board would not send it to individual administrators. It's just not it's not appropriate practice. So when I send it to you, you just make sure that the treasurer will get it. Yeah, we'll do it that way. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And what about the budget transfers? Are you going to ask for Mary, or how is that? What's the line of chain of command here for getting that information on a monthly basis?
And I guess I will defer to Mr. Warner. Normally when additional reports come to the board, when it's finance related or they change the format, that goes through the fiscal planning committee.
Okay.
And the fiscal planning committee is now a combined committee, but I think we can cover that. And I don't think it's likely that it's going to be a problem.
Okay.
As long as it's feasible to actually do it, right?
Okay, but I'm not on that committee. Will you guys be able to share this with the rest of us so I can kind of get a list too? I'd love to see that.
Sure. It should go to everybody. It should go to the entire board.
It will be issued to the whole board. It's just
okay.
Yeah.
Full board.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
So,
okay.
So David, are you saying that it has to be a recommendation of the fiscal committee and then, or just simply a request from the fiscal committee?
It doesn't have to be. I think what's happening is that she wants to go over what the format will look like and make sure everybody's happy with it before she does it.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, right. Because the fiscal planning committee would only make recommendations back to the board, and then the board would approve them. We're just trying to iron things out. Okay.
Okay. Tracy, I think David has his
Sorry,
hand up.
go ahead, David.
Okay, so I have basically two reminders. One is very simple. We should probably be looking for walkthrough dates for the board, because we usually tour the facilities before school opens to the students. Obviously that's not going to happen in August this year. Things are opening later. So we're looking for 3 dates that the board can choose from to see which is best for them. Looking forward to hearing from that. That's just a reminder. The other thing.
I'm sorry, David, are you looking for dates from the administration to give to us?
Yes,
Or
the administration has to be able to lead the tours, and they need to know that, we're getting close to where we need to be. So what's the best time in the month to do that, right? And you still want a little bit of time left so that if we come back and say, you really need to fix this, you can do it. But you don't want, we're only 80% done, right? See, you want it to be at 90% at least. So let them come back with some dates that seem to work compared to when things will open up for the students.
Awesome, thank you,
Okay,
David.
so that's one. I had another one.
Okay.
And the other one, I had been concerned about air quality for the ECP main building. The solution at this point was to in the hot weather, you open the windows wide and run the air conditioner. Works fine in September. The winter solution was crack the windows and run the heater full blast. I'm afraid that when you get to cold weather, that good teachers may say, these kids are cold, and shut the windows. I issued various emails, which I've copied to the entire board, saying, can we look at maybe not doing everything that's in the BCS in terms of the air quality, but maybe just doing the classrooms? The architect came back and said, yep, sure, that will work. We can do that. And I said, and how much does it cost? And we had kind of agreed that we were going to talk about this more after the opening when we thought it was in September or the beginning of September. And now we're coming up on the beginning of September. The opening's later. When do we talk about it? We need to keep that ball rolling. We need to make sure that doesn't get lost. That's it.
Okay, thank you, David. And I saw Mr. Pineda.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask something along the lines of what Dave was asking his first question. I think as part of the facilities tour this year, at least in my mind, it makes sense that we tour what's actually been repaired, replaced as part of the ventilation process. So I think that's going to help dictate a little bit when the administration will be available to take the tour, because not everything is done yet. So I just wanted to add that comment. I'd like to tour that.
HVAC.
Thank you, Ashley. Does anyone else have any other new business? I did wanted to hear from Dr. Chase what you were going to tell us, but of course, because it was not exec session, we had to discuss more in open session.
Sure. So you asked me about childcare, and what I was starting to tell you was that, we're still working with the Theodore Young Center in finalizing what childcare could possibly look like. Yesterday and today, we engaged in pretty robust conversation about the possibility of Theodore Young Center being a place where parents can probably, if they wish, to take their children while we are engaged in remote learning. I know that some parents are concerned about childcare. Andre Early, commissioner, is working really, really hard with the school district to make sure that he's following the protocols that we've put in place in terms of keeping a very safe and healthy environment. We know that he ran a fantastic summer program, and we want to continue the partnership. We don't want to put them in jeopardy. So I do want to thank them for at least considering and opening their doors to our parents. I would think that within the next couple of days, there'll be more information about that childcare offering, whether it's going to be a possibility or, if there's a protocol that parents have to follow in order to enroll their children. It will be limited. It's not open to everyone. And parents obviously would have to take their children there and pick their children up. The district will provide, breakfast and lunch. But again, it's not carved in stone. If parents go to our reopening webpage, they will see that there are other offerings for childcare. If they are interested in participating, we are, again, working with the Westchester Child Council, and they are working with us in terms of helping parents to use a referral, an in-house referral that they have to help you to place your child based on your child's needs. So there is also a map of Westchester County in terms of agencies and affiliates that they have, so that you can help it'll help you to make a more informed decision about childcare. We don't have a perfect model for parents, but we're trying our best to help. And we're hoping that in the coming days through Westchester County Youth Bureau, and they have reached out to us as well, that we'll have other options for you. So we're trying our best to make sure that we get options for you to help you guys out, parents, because we know this is a very difficult time for you. We ask that you look at that webpage as often as you can to see if there's updated information for you, and we're happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Chase. The only other thing I would love for you to talk about tonight at our meeting, it's kind of late, but if anyone's still watching or up, or if they watch it tomorrow morning, can you update us on the Students with Disabilities meeting or any additional information that we may be hosting for families of children with special needs?
Sure. So, during our parent meetings, I heard from so many parents with students with special needs, and we heard them. They've asked many questions through the reopening GCSD email as well. And what we promised parents is that we were going to spend some time with them and just hearing their concerns, and hope that we can come to a mutual resolution in terms of helping those parents with their needs, with their children. And so, Dr. Reynolds and I, asked Jill Post to put together a meeting for just parents with students with disabilities. That meeting will take place tomorrow. Those parents were informed. Those parents are invited to that meeting. That meeting will take place tomorrow. Obviously, it's a Zoom meeting. It's a virtual meeting, and that's at 6:00. So if you are a parent who qualifies to be at that meeting, and by qualify, I mean that you have a child with a disability, and that child is enrolled in our school district, you are welcome to join us so that we could have a special meeting to address your special needs. Okay, we're here to listen.
Dr. Chase, if a parent is not, I personally know two parents that were not aware of the time, so it's possible that they, fell off of the communication chain or they're not registered. Where can we send parents? Should they email their principal? Should they email Jill Post? Should they email you? Who do they contact to get information for going to the meeting?
So I'm going to pass that baton over to Dr. Reynolds, who's going to give a little bit more information.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chase. Just for the record, what we've done is we've sent the invitation out to families who have students who have active IEPs as well as 504s. What we did also today was we went through that list a second time. Anyone who has a child who has an active IEP or 504 who does not receive the invitation should contact Jill Post tomorrow.
Okay.
Her email address is the letter J, Post, P-O-S-T, at greenbergcsd.org. And again, this is very specific to our families who have students who are twice exceptional. So we want to make sure that the questions and answers are relevant, and we want to be sure that the participants are those who have a need for the information as we move forward.
Okay, awesome. So the two parents that asked me, I just told them, and I guess anyone else can share the information, Joe Post, and that's IEPs and 504s.
Correct.
Okay, great. Anyone else have any other questions or new business? Being that there is none, can I get
I have my hand up. I have my hand up.
Well,
sorry.
you were dark. I didn't see you. Okay, so we'll go with Mr. Williams and then Dr. Chase.
Okay.
Well, I'll defer to Dr. Chase first.
Okay. You sure?
Yes.
Okay. So the Jill Post email address, I was going to actually put it in the chat, but I realized that everyone is not on Zoom, so they won't be able to see it. So yeah, because
J Post, right? J.
No, it is J Post, JPOST at greenbergcsd.org. JPOST at greenberg.org. Dr. Reynolds?
And Dr. Chase, I'm actually viewing the YouTube streaming live, so I will put that onto the chat as well.
Okay, so then, all right, perfect. Thank you.
Tracy?
Oh, sorry, I'm on another screen. I had to give the baby the iPad, so I was on another screen, so forgive me. Mr. Williams is next.
So I had a conversation today with a head of a search firm. And he said that he would be responding to an RFP from our district. Is there something we want to say to the public about that? Because RFPs are public, and this person has already spoken with me about it. So again, Madam Vice President, is there something we want to say to the public about that?
I didn't have anything to say to the public, but it seems like you have a lot to say. What did you
Well,
want to say?
well, the president is the official spokesperson for the district, and you're obviously operating in that capacity in her
I sure
absence.
am. And in
so
her
my
absence,
question.
and in her
So in my-
absence,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And in her absence, our president left me directions on how to run her meeting, and she did not leave me directions to make a statement of any sort. So no, is your answer.
So do you have any knowledge of this?
Do I have any knowledge of what?
Of this RFP?
You're not going to get me to go into any other discussion about it. So I said no.
Is the RFP, Carol, is the RFP public?
I know that I guess we're circling back to this. I said RFPs are public. What that means is that any member of the public could foil it and go through the proper channels, and that's how you would get any district contract, record, document, etc. It's in the district's best interest to follow its protocol.
Okay, seeing no other discussion, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Good night, folks.
Night.
Good night, everyone.